We're live. Welcome to another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, and I'm joined today by an epic crew. We have Goldie Scott, our longtime no-see Cardassian envoy. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Starfleet Boy. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you back. And we have Jamie, the return of Jamie and Sima, also known as Starfleet Man and Starfleet Girl.
Hi.
Hi.
Why not Starfleet Man and Woman?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Not to start anything. Sorry, I don't mean to.
No, there's definitely, this needs to be talked about.
We'll go deeper into it. That's a good
It's really
question.
none of my business, actually.
And across the pond, we have Gary from Trekker Prize. So, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Who
Thank
is-
you for having me again.
You're welcome. He's also disembodied. Goldu, Scott, and Gary are disembodied today.
I'm working on the problem.
So, even though Starfleet Boys recorded, pre-recorded, and this episode won't air for like a couple of weeks, this is the New Year episode. So, Happy New Year, everybody!
Happy New
Yay,
Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Yep. And because it's the New Year, I'm going to pop a bottle of shampoo over here. And sorry, I can't beam over champagne for you guys.
Oh,
that was nice.
Oh, that was very successful.
yeah, very nicely done.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're not messing around over there.
Apparently, you're not supposed to hear it pop if you're really good at it. You can do it without that popping sound. Anyways, I toast to 2017, and I toast to you, my friends, and thank you for coming on the show. And here's to another year
Cheers.
of Starfleet Boy. Cheers to you guys.
Here's to you.
So, today's episode is the Emissary, not to be confused with Deep Space Nine's The Emissary or Emissary. And does anyone want to do the episode summary? I usually offer it out.
You go for it.
Yeah.
All you.
All right. So the Enterprise crew is faced with a little bit of a situation. They're informed that there's a 75-year-old sleeper ship that is basically a Klingon crew that has been cryogenically frozen, so that they can wake up and wreak havoc, on their enemies years later. It's kind of a weird concept. I still am having trouble with it, but anyways, the sleeper ship's waking up, and when they wake up, they're going to be very close to 13 Federation colonies. So the Enterprise has been dispatched to figure out how to stop the situation. So to help them out, the Federation send their emissary, who is a specialist in all things Klingon, and it happens to be K'Ehleyr, who we will later find out is the mother of a very important character on the show. Anyways, she comes aboard and encounters Worf, and immediately Worf is rude to her and kind of treats her like, he's very just rude. That's basically all you can say. But the reason why he's rude is because he secretly harbors feelings for her. And as they're working out the Klingon ship problem, they can't help it, and eventually make love, and they have Klingon sex. And then afterwards, it's awkward again because Worf wants to marry her like right away, like right after they do it, and K'Ehleyr says that it didn't mean anything. So again, they're fighting. Meanwhile, the Klingon ship comes to bear, and the crew have to deal with it. And Worf comes up with a plan at the last minute. They're thinking they're going to have to destroy this Klingon ship, and Worf comes up with a plan at the last minute to pretend that he's the captain. I think he just wanted to pretend he was the captain. And they convince the Klingons that there's nothing to worry about, and welcome to 75 years later where there's no more war, and Klingons and the Federation are all friends. And then Worf, the emissary's mission being over, she's going to go on the Klingon ship and help them kind of integrate back in society and wait for another ship to arrive. And Worf and K'Ehleyr say goodbye and finally admit that they have feelings for each other. Kalar says it did mean something and that someday she might marry him. And that's it. Episode over.
That's it.
What'd you guys think?
I have a technical question for you, Sohail.
Sure.
Because I mean, I know that Starfleet Boy is a PG-rated show.
It is
But
PG.
there is
PG-13.
some hardcore sex going on, and I don't know how we get around talking about it.
It's PG-13, and I think sex ed starts at like around that age, so it's
There
okay.
was cutting and blood.
So I guess we.
I just, yeah. Is that like a running thing throughout the shows that's how Klingons mate? Is that shown more than once?
I believe this is the very first time we see Klingons mate on screen. We've only ever heard about Klingon mating.
Yeah.
But if you remember Goldu Scott, in the episode with the running naked aliens, almost naked aliens, Worf does say that Klingon sex is very rough, that even a human female could not handle sex with a Klingon male. So we don't actually see the sex because the show is, for, all ages, as many ages as possible. So we don't actually see the sex, but we can assume that it's violent, and you get the hint of that with the bloodletting in the beginning there.
Yeah, really caught us by surprise.
Did anyone find it a turn on, or was it like just gross, or what was the deal?
It was weird.
Yeah, kind of. I actually wasn't sure what was going on for a minute because they started smelling each other's hands, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like this must be a mating thing." And then once I started, like the blood was a bit off-putting. It was kind of like, "Oh, maybe they're actually fighting." It kind of felt like you ever seen, it kind of felt like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It was like, oh, they're like hate fucking. Which it kind of felt like that. So I don't know. It was a bit confusing, and then it seemed to really mean a lot to Worf. So I guess it wasn't that. I don't know.
Maybe all Klingon sex is hate sex.
It might be. I mean, that's something I never thought.
So, Gary or Goldu Scott, any? Well, Goldu Scott was the one curious about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad someone else said fuck before I did, so I don't have to be the first one to say fuck.
No, in my opinion, I watched the episode the first time like 15, 16 years ago. So I was like 14, 15 years old. And to be honest, that never turned on my mind like, okay, actually they are doing it. Of course, watching it like 30 minutes ago, I was like, yeah, that was like 25, 30 minutes unseen footage. Probably. but it's fine. I mean, you have to present the show for multiple audiences, and you have to be considerate what you actually show and what you don't. And I think it was covered quite delicately.
I also would like to point out to you guys that there are people in the world that actually do enjoy sex while letting blood in some way. That's like a thing. It's like a fetish of some sort.
Tell us more. I've not heard of this.
Well, I don't know. I heard. I've not been a part of this, but someone in Miami actually that I am friends with.
What's with the nervous laughter, Sohail?
Well, because I'm gonna try very hard not to reveal this.
It's just something you heard, right?
So, anyways, this person that I heard, yeah, I definitely heard this. But anyways,
yeah, you just heard.
He liked it when a girl would bite into his neck so that he would bleed. There was some kind of vampire fetish thing, so he enjoyed being like submissive to a vampire woman or a pretend vampire woman, and they would actually cut skin during their conjugation, and blood would be involved. So
where are we going with this conversation?
no, I'm just saying that like bloodletting is not necessarily something that is unusual to humans. Like there's in sexual behavior, it's not alien per se, that even though we saw this on Star Trek, there is a subset of humans that do enjoy some sort of minor bloodletting, nothing nothing fatal, obviously, during coitus.
I'll tell you what did catch me off guard. Speaking of how rough their mating rituals can be, Kalar was half human, half Klingon, and I wasn't sure she was going to be able to, handle it because she's half human.
I guess her vagina is the Klingon half.
I guess, right? That and her forehead. I don't know. I was a bit surprised.
Or maybe Worf is not as Klingon as he claimed to be.
Right, and perhaps
Yo.
I mean, the show does suggest that afterwards, it was quite an ordeal. The afterward is handled in such a way where she's both pleased and exhausted. So one can imagine that it was quite a vigorous thing.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, are we supposed to take away from this that if you have sex as Klingons, you're supposed to get married? Like, is that?
Yeah, that's.
But in that earlier episode you were referring to, Worf was like bragging about his manhood, and he seemed to be bragging like he's had sex before.
I don't think he has.
So are we to believe either this is his first time or he had sex earlier, but it wasn't? You didn't have to get married that time.
I think it was his first time.
I got the impression that it was his first time with a Klingon woman. That maybe he has had sex with other species, but that this was definitely his first time with a Klingon woman.
But they had an argument with Kalar, and actually he said, okay, this is happening again, so they must have something before.
Right. I thought there was an implied history of sexual intercourse.
Oh, so then why would he want to marry her?
Yeah,
this time.
Because it seems like you're bonded.
Maybe he thought, okay, at the beginning when it happened first, they didn't really feel like, or he didn't really expect her denying the the tradition and everything. But then now she engaged the thing again, and maybe he thought, okay, now she actually changed her mind and just give it a go. But it didn't work.
Yeah. Here's my other. I have one more question before we leave, because I sense that we may want to talk about other things as well. But
yes,
I will say, does this mean she's impregnated? Because I don't know, it kind of seemed like "we're mated" was the term that was used. And look, I mean, you think Klingons are like pulling out or something? Like, what's going on there? I'm a bit confused. Is she perhaps carrying a child?
Alexander.
I don't know.
So
Did we just watch the conception of Alexander?
We did. So what Scott is talking about is that, and we won't go too spoilery, but later on we discovered that this was the date of inception.
Conception.
Or conception. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that he's Worf will have a child. And
well, that's great to know.
Yeah. So
yeah.
According to the Memory Alpha, normally the doctor would be here to answer questions like this, but Klingon mating rituals were a series of courting traditions held by the Klingons. Rituals including combative foreplay, blah blah blah, and so here we go. Let's see. Traditionally, they mated for life, and it was not uncommon for them to take commitment oaths after only one encounter. So that answers the question. So it could be his first encounter with her, but it's not necessarily.
I don't buy it.
I think we discovered a plot hole.
Here it says that the while a full Klingon marriage ceremony involved many witnesses and an elaborate reenactment of the Klingon creation myth, that would be amazing. The much briefer oath of marriage required no officiant or witnesses and was accepted legally and socially as constituting marriage by mutual consent. And they refer to the Kalar moment there in So Kalar did not recite her half of the oath when Worf invoked it following their mating, fearing the damage it would cause to their respective careers, which we could talk about that. Do you think marriage causes damage to careers?
Well, yeah, look at O'Brien and Keiko.
They're doing really well. What are you talking about?
They're always fighting.
That's true.
Well, I think
O'Brien was in this episode too. That was fun to see.
It kind of depends because they seem to have like a professional relationship as well. So I can see how the marriage would create conflicts with their professional relationship.
Right. One of them would have to leave their post.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're both very professionally driven people. I think maybe marriage is not the right thing for them. I do feel like it would get in the way. I do. I mean, the whole episode was about their relationship getting in the way, for better or worse. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can kind of side with Kalar on that one. I feel like it probably wasn't the right thing for them. And it kind of felt like Worf was like, you know, when it's like you're too in love with someone, it's like you've just been on a few dates and it's like, oh no, like you're way too into this.
I thought that too.
Yeah, you know.
So
question.
Worf seemed eager to you guys.
Yeah, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Right.
You have sex with someone one time and you're telling them they have to marry you? Not even like asking, like demanding. Like what was that all about?
That's true. He did demand. That's a good observation. I don't know. I come from a family that has some really interesting. Pakistani culture has some interesting traditional values and I could kind of relate to that. There's like a sense of honor and things like that. Like I feel like not anymore, but like definitely like 50 years ago, this wouldn't have been you know, an uncommon thing. Like if a couple happen to have sex, they would probably have felt more obligated to get married in human past as well. So I can kind of relate to Worf. You know, Klingon culture is a lot more even more strict, it sounds, than any human culture might be at the current time at the moment.
But since when is Worf so all about Klingon culture? Like I thought that's the whole point of his character, is that he lives outside of Klingon society and didn't grow up in it and doesn't really understand it that well. And
but the show has shown so far
fascinated about the Klingon culture.
Yeah,
from the beginning, as far as I know.
And I would say, yeah, the show, there's evidence in the show so far. I mean, he's I would agree with both of you in the sense that he is in conflict because he does feel apart from, he doesn't feel neither fully Klingon, and he definitely doesn't feel accepted as a human. So his conflict is more about finding that balance. And then on top of that, just by being a Klingon, his instincts are very strong. It seems like Klingons kind of are they fight, you know, their instincts in a harder way than perhaps humans do, because they have these very strong instinctual desires to like fight and like, you know, the bloodlust as I think it's been referred to on past occasions. And then you'll remember that in the Pain Stick episode, I mean, that was a big deal. Worf was at odds because he had no one to celebrate the anniversary of his right to ascension, or whatever it's called. Not right to ascension. What is it called? I forgot. But anyways, the point is that, yeah, I think he is in conflict with his Klingon side. He wants to be a good Klingon. He wants to be seen as a Klingon. And oftentimes when he encounters Klingons that have not been around humans, they look down on him as though he's not quite one of them. And then around humans and other species, oftentimes because of the way Klingons are, there's this like kind of apprehension or fear and to get to know him. So he doesn't really fit in either direction. So Worf's got a tough life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's kind of like the perfect problem for Worf, because she is half human, half Klingon. She kind of represents this dilemma. Look, I just referred to a woman as a perfect problem. I'm very sorry about this. We've already discussed that Starfleet girl might have to change, you know, the name. We'll just do an episode on that.
Wow.
But you know,
that's a good title for a song, actually. The Perfect Problem. It could be, you could turn it into something romantic.
Yeah, it's a Nine Inch Nails song.
Oh, I was gonna say it's a Sheryl Crow song. That's what it sounds like.
Maybe it's a collaboration. But yeah, I think Kalar's a well-written character in that respect. I do want to say that this is very tangential, but I had in my notes here spray tan, and let me just say, the spray tan on Kalar was unbelievably bad. I think they could have just let that go, or not have a tan. Any thoughts out there on that, or am I the only one?
I watch it on a computer, and like, I don't know if my resolution's high enough, but I didn't notice her.
Oh, I definitely noticed it. I've got a nice big TV screen, and it was clear. But that's something I've always seen on this show in many episodes. Like, I'll see where Data's makeup ends on the bottom of his neck. You know, you'll see this little line of regular skin and his chest hair popping out. They definitely didn't mean for these to be seen on 50-inch screens in HD.
Right.
I don't think that was the intention either. But the funny thing is that, do you think that like after a while they're just phoning it home a little bit, like the makeup, because they have to do it like every day for like, we're at like our 50th episode now, and so
right. There was actually
I don't even think it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, there was actually one scene in the boardroom where maybe they shot it towards the end of the production on that episode. She had no spray tan, and she walked out into the hallway, and we cut into the hallway, and she suddenly got this orange face back, and it was really off-putting.
You guys really noticed a lot of stuff that I didn't.
Yeah,
Well, I kind of saw Suzy Blackstone on stage in the Destination Star Trek Hero Convention October, and she actually turned to Kalar, and that was one of the most interesting experience that actually I saw in my life. She was talking, and the makeup artist was like building up the skin color and the wig and the forehead and everything, and it was just an amazing experience. And she turned into Kalar at the end.
So
and
you're
she
saying
didn't really have tan or something. I mean, that was just a shade of brown or something what they actually applied on her, and she looked amazing.
Well, but what I think what Jamie was saying is it looks like spray tan. It looked fake.
Oh, yeah, well.
So are you saying they actually like on stage
Yeah.
turned
They
the
turned.
actors?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, the same actress. This was at Destination Star Trek this past year.
Oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
Cool.
It was
quite
amazing.
something. She must get paid a lot of money to sit there and have. I mean, can people talk to her when she's on stage, or is it like no, she can't speak?
No, absolutely. I mean, she had a microphone in the audience had a microphone as well, and everyone was just asking questions about what makeup or which one was your favorite character actually you played, and she was always referring to Q because she didn't have to put that much makeup on.
Oh, right
So
on.
yeah, it was really interesting. And actually, when she turned into Kalar, there was some light effects and fog and everything, and she started to give a monologue from Kalar herself.
Oh, wow.
It was just amazing. Yeah,
I actually
it
have
was
two
the whole
questions.
package.
Did you
I have
just
two
say she
questions.
played a Q also?
Hmm?
No,
Did
she
you
kept.
just say that she played a Q also?
I think Gary said she kept referring to Q because he didn't have to wear any makeup. He was at the event as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
No. Well, John Donesi was there as well, but no. Kalar, Suzy Blackstone said she better liked better liked playing Q because she didn't really.
Oh,
have
she
to
played a
get any-
Q. She played Q.
Yeah, in Voyager. And in two occasions.
Oh,
Oh, I remember that.
I don't
Actually,
remember.
Actually said to Captain James, it's like, what the hell? No, the Q, what the hell are you doing with this puppy? And it was like, I'm not referring to the dog. that was like a cool scene.
Oh, cool.
And she was a
Well,
delightful character in Voyager.
that's something we have to look forward to when we get to our Voyager reviews in like 7 years. But
Look forward to.
Yeah. 2024.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the Klingon strategy of cryogenically freezing a warship filled with warriors on their warship and having them activate 75 years later in the hopes that they could wreak havoc upon enemies?
I thought it was the most interesting concept of the show, and they ignored it the whole time for all the Worf relationship drama bullshit.
I agree.
I
I
would
was
much
actually
rather watch an
agree.
episode about those guys and seeing them reintegrate into society now and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That feels like the better Star Trek episode. I will say, overall, not a big fan of this episode. I feel like when they came back towards the end, when they came back to that plot about the Klingon ship, I had completely forgotten about it. I'd forgotten
Me
that.
too. Me too. I thought maybe did they come through a time travel wormhole thing? I didn't know where they came from.
Right. Yeah, it's an odd strategy. I don't know. It kind of feels like if the war was really that tense, why would you sacrifice these soldiers to in hopes that 75 years later something's still going on? Was it 75 years? I thought it was a few
75.
thousand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
75. And the other interesting thing too is that at this time when this first came out, Star Trek 6 hadn't come out yet, so there were still a lot of unanswered questions about how the Klingons and the Federation made peace. And this would have been a great opportunity for them to start addressing that and answering those. And I don't know, feels like a little bit of a tease.
Well, I think it was a tease so that Star Trek 6
No, but Star Trek 6 was still many years away. Like Star Trek 5 hadn't even come out yet.
Oh, I think Star Trek 5 does come out this season. It's season 2, and then season 4 is Star Trek 6. Season 4 or 5, I'm not sure.
Do you really think they were do you think there's that much brand synergy that they would be hinting at it? Because we've already established that they used Suzy Blackstone to play two different characters. That's how unresourceful they were.
I don't think that there was any kind of a solid plan at this time to address what happens in Star Trek 6, but I think that the writers probably were directed maybe by Gene Roddenberry. I'm guessing this is now, I have no actual knowledge of Star Trek, but I would guess that there was some kind of mandate to not, to keep it vague. For whatever reason, they're keeping it vague as to why the Klingons and the Federation, or how the peace came to be. Because maybe they want to reveal it over the course of the show. I don't know. But Scott's right that there wasn't really a lot about it, but there was an opportunity in this episode to talk about it some more, I think, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would have been much more interesting than the relationship stuff.
Which is rare. I would almost never say that about a Star Trek episode, but it just feels like that would have been the better plot line.
Any thoughts, Gary?
No. No, actually, I was kind of thinking about the between Deanna Troi and Kalar, because Deanna from the first time she actually approached Kalar like, okay, you're like basically me because I'm half Betazoid, half Klingon, and
half human,
she's
right?
Half human, and I'm half Klingon, half human, and I know what you're going through, and it just felt like a little bonding between the two characters. It wasn't for a long time, obviously, but because Worf took over all the scenes, but but yeah, that was actually I was thinking, and it was a nice touch actually.
Well,
because you got a little bit was Deanna going through back then, and you got the same situation in Kalar, and actually you can see she has temper problems at the end.
And I think that I thought that was a little I don't know, I felt like Counselor Troy was just kind of going through her textbook and seeing how she could kind of relate to a Klingon, half human. I didn't really get the sense that she was really helping, although Kalar seemed to be polite about it and appreciate it. I did sense this kind of idea, like, really, do you really know what it's like to be a half Klingon, half human? You know, like you look like a full human. You don't, you know, she, at least Troy can integrate into human society a lot easier.
Hey, I just realized something.
What's that?
Kalar's very existence proves or disproves Worf's whole thing about human women can't handle Klingon penises.
Yes.
absolutely
All
true.
right.
How do you know it wasn't
Unless
a
it was a human dad. I don't
dad?
know.
How do you know her father isn't human? I think she says it in the.
It is referred to in the episode.
So let me see what the memory office says.
Her mom is human because she keeps referring to the sense of humor that she got from her mother.
Oh, right on. Okay.
There you go. So you know what? That makes me think in that old episode where Worf was saying that shit, he was making excuses because he was afraid to go down to the sex planet because he was a virgin.
He's a virgin. There you go. That's what.
And then this episode, we see him lose his virginity, and at the same time, he loses his mind. It makes total sense now.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know if you remember, but in DS9 actually he reveals for Jadzia he's afraid to have intimate relationship with other species because the accident what happened with him in a school and actually one of the schoolmates died because in a football match or something, and he was so excited and that's why he didn't really want to engage intimate relationship with anyone else but Klingon. So that was another little point what we didn't know till that DS9 episode came out.
Wow, that's a good.
Good nugget.
Yeah, good nugget, exactly. So, okay, what did you guys think of the way the solution? I mean, like, it looked like they were gonna have to blow up the Klingon ship or do some crazy shit, and Worf comes up with his plan to pretend he's the captain of the Enterprise so that it would be easier for the Klingons to kind of accept that there is no more war. What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was bullshit.
It was very odd. Like, the second they introduced the storyline, I was like, this is what they're gonna do. Like, it was very predictable.
It felt a lot like Deus Ex Machina. So here's my thing. It was like they're communicating with the other ship, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess we go to commercial, or I'm not sure. Once we come back, it's like they've got this Klingon garb on. There's just this whole elaborate thing happening, and the first thing I thought was, where did they get those clothing items?
So I can actually answer this for you because it's something you'd have to watch a lot of Star Trek to know. But you can actually like walk into like it's a virtual closet, and it'll beam the appropriate clothing onto your body, and then you walk out, and it's like it takes like 10 seconds to get dressed.
Okay, so
where was that established? Okay. Is that on screen canon?
No, that's head canon.
That's okay. So he just made that up. That's not a real thing.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
Yeah, you got to be careful with Sohail. He does that a lot. He just makes shit up. I don't know.
I'm just saying, if you're a society that's sophisticated enough to have transporters, that it's not outside the realm of possibility that you could.
Why would an Enterprise ship be able to beam Klingon clothing onto you? Look, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. If they chose warriors to cryogenically freeze and send into the future, they would send the smartest ones, and they would have been a lot more skeptical than they were. Worf was saying, right?
I don't know that they would freeze the smartest.
Unless the freezing slowed down their brain neurons or whatever. They can't think as well.
That must be it. I mean, that's got to be it. Like, it was basically Worf just saying, "No, I'm right," 12 times, and then they were like, "Okay, well, fine."
Worf's ideas usually get shot down. So this is one of the first instances I can remember where they actually decide, where Picard actually decides, oh, it's a good idea. Let's try it.
I don't know.
I was thinking the end of this episode when he actually had this scene with the other Klingon ship. This is what fans actually talking about. We need a Captain Worf series, and you can hate me now, but actually, I think it was brilliant. Of course, we have to think about it's late 80s, so presentation is a bit different. But I think watching it the first time, like 15, 16 years ago, it literally it kept me, and it made me believe, okay, he's like a powerful guy. He's dealing with a difficult situation, and he's the captain for the ship.
So just to like, I guess like a Worf show would have been interesting because Klingons are really popular. They're like extremely popular in Star Trek. And in fact, I don't know if this is true, Gary, but did you see a lot of Klingons? I know I noticed in every time there's like footage of a convention, there's always a lot of Klingon people dressed up as Klingons. Do you think that was true at the convention you went to?
Well, the more people dressed up as a Starfleet officer from different sort of
Eras.
eras,
That's
yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Well, I had the same uniform as well, so. But yeah, there was quite a lot of people who dressed up as a Klingon and Andorian. Surprisingly, Borg, not as much, but they were noticeable, and even someone at drag dressed up as Lexana Troy.
Oh, nice. And it looks like Star Trek. It looks like Star Trek Discovery is going to be Klingon centric. We're not 100% sure yet, but it looks like there's going to be a lot of Klingon action going on in Star Trek Discovery because I think it takes place during a wartime era with Klingons. Guys, I looked it up about the clothing.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
In Voyager, during Chakotay's Starfleet career, he was involved in a transporter malfunction. His uniform ended up in a pattern buffer. He materialized wearing only his comm badge. And then removal of clothing using a transporter can also be done deliberately, as a group of Ferengi did to Deanna and Loxana Troy in the TNG episode Menage a Troy. Yeah, exactly. So it looks like if you can take clothing off using the transporter, it's a pretty safe bet you can also put clothing back on.
Wait, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. I hate to bring it back to the awful plot, but just a quick question. So Kalar's whole function, the Klingon Empire sent her to retrieve this ship that they knew was waking up?
It was yeah, she's a special.
Okay, so that's, and yet when they get to the ship, she's got to go through all this trickery. And if Worf hadn't been there, who knows if they would have succeeded? I mean, why not just send an actual Klingon warbird to go pick it up?
That's a part you missed. There was a Klingon warbird on the way, but the Enterprise was
was that like the very beginning? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like 2 days closer.
Who can remember those?
Well, I guess for me, I feel like we've kind of figured out that this episode maybe looked like it was going to be exciting with this whole, sleeper ship concept. But then for the most part, it went off track into this like romantic foray, and you guys didn't really think that was as compelling. We're gonna for the new year, we're gonna change our rating system on Starfleet Boy. I think I talked about this with Scott before. We're not doing ratings anymore. It's gonna be thumbs up and thumbs down.
Oh god!
Just like Siskel and Ebert.
What if you're between the two?
Then you can say.
Sideways.
Sideways thumb, yes.
Sideways, okay.
Sideways
I can live with that.
But I would urge you to try to have a thumbs up or a thumbs down reaction. So I'll go first. For me, this episode was a thumbs down. I agree with the group here. I think that there was a lot more that could have been done with the Klingons. These are frozen Klingons for 75 years. What a cool story in that, and it's just treated as like a Scott, would that be a MacGuffin? No.
What?
I don't know. Someone told me what a MacGuffin is, but I can never remember.
MacGuffin is like the object you find that solves everything.
Oh, then it's definitely not the
You mean a red herring?
Great, yeah. They treat it as like a red herring instead.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I stopped listening to you for the minute.
So this episode is a thumbs down for me. What about you guys?
Okay, I'll
down.
go ahead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, thumbs down for me too.
So it's 2 thumbs down.
The hot sex almost saved it, but not enough skin for me. Or enough blood. There needed to be a little more skin and a little more blood.
There's something about blood coming out of fingernails that is just most unappealing. I forgot to mention that earlier, but it would have been far less gross if the bloodletting had not been from fingernails.
What area would have been good?
I think, Jamie, her fingernails pierced this part of her skin.
Well, so there's no way of telling. Gene Roddenberry should have clarified. I will say, and I guess I'll go. Do you want to go first?
I give it a thumbs down.
I also give it a thumbs down. I think it's a bad episode of a great show. I will say the one thing I did like in this episode was that they opened with a poker match. They established that Worf was a very gambler, and they followed through on that theme towards the end. I would have liked one scene with Data where explains to Data how he knew the plan would work, because I think it would have wrapped up that gambling plot very nicely. But yeah, that was a nice touch. Otherwise, the episode was pretty garbage.
That was a nice little nugget there too, Jamie. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how about you, Gary Trekker Prize? What's going on with your thumbs up, thumbs down?
Well, you are gonna hate me now, but I'm going to go for a thumbs up. And the reason why, because I still try to think what was my first impression when I saw the episode, and being a 14-year-old, seeing that episode, actually it kept me entertained. It kept me thinking about the whole thing. And even if it was a love story, I didn't understand back then, but I kind of understand now. So from a 14, 15-year-old myself, I will give it a thumbs up.
Interesting. So 4 thumbs down and 1 thumbs up. And just to say, I did not remember this episode even existed, and I saw it when it originally aired, so I forgot about it until I saw it again. So I had the opposite experience as you, Gary. But that's cool. Hey, I like the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Now, Gary, you're right.
What's that?
I was just never mind. I was just doing a little. I said I do hate you now, Gary. But
cool. One of them area.
Nobody hates you for liking this
and
episode.
I just want to point out another little Deep Space Nine nugget. When they were in the holodeck, that thing with the skeleton face that they were fighting, those pop up again in DS9. You see Worf and Jadzia training against them.
Oh, interesting.
True.
There's some sort of Klingon death myth thing, I guess.
The Skeletor, yeah, it's like interesting. And
I did like the set design on the calisthenics program was gorgeous, I thought. Just want to throw that in there. Yeah.
Well, it's the second time we're seeing that set, so it's pretty cool. They use it, and I guess the third time is on DS9. Is it the same set, Goldie Scott? I can't remember.
It's possible. I would have thought, they were in the same studio. I don't know how much they upgraded.
Where do they? Yeah, I wonder if all
years.
these sets are just kept over the years. I wonder, or if they're
well,
really
they built
easy
a lot of new sets for DS9 too. I mean, the promenade and a lot of that stuff was brand new, so they put a lot of money into building new sets.
Speaking of DS9, before we sign off, would you like to give a plug for Drunk Space Nine?
You just did it for me. Thank you.
So if you listen to Starfleet Boy, you can watch Starfleet Boy on YouTube. You can listen to it on podcast. Either just search Google for Starfleet Boy podcast or search iTunes. But then if you're not into the PG-13 thing and you want to go, I guess are we rated R on Drunk Space Nine?
Yeah,
or is
possibly
it NC-17?
Yeah.
If you're looking for a more of an NC-17 type of conversation, tune into Drunk Space Nine, where we review or talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine mostly.
Lots of cutting.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for taking the time out on New Year's Day to come on Starfleet Boy and talk about this episode. I wish I timed it so that we'd have a bang of an episode for New Year's Day, but unfortunately I didn't do that. Instead, we got the Emissary. Anyway,
we did it at season 3.
it's true. Anyways, it was nice to see all of you. Happy New Year and live long and prosper, and see you next time.
Oh,
Live long.
Prosper.
Prosper.
I have trouble
Live long
doing
and
that.
prosper.